Okay, Wednesday night, June 17th, 2020. We've been having a series of classes on Humrot, more specifically the last few weeks regarding Hakham Obadiah Yosef and his Tishubot of Yahavedat, where he talks about المحمير تبو علیו برכה, or things along those lines. So the Tishubot tonight, David Batesh will send it to you in PDF format if he hasn't already. There are 3 Tishubot. The first Tishubah, again, these are all from volume 7 of Yahavedat of Hakham Obadiah Yosef. This is Helik Shibi'i, Siman Nun Vav. And the first topic is Zaman Yesiat Shabbat. What time does Shabbat end? What time does Shabbat go out? Okay. So this is a Teshuvah from 1981. It's an abridged Teshuvah, if you will, based upon longer Teshuvot that Hakham Obadiah Yosef wrote in his Yabi'a Omer, both in volume 2 as well as volume 7. So here's the She'elah first. First is the question posed to Hakham Obadiah Yosef. She'elah, me'et hanhalat bet ha-Knesset ahaba ve'ahva be'ashdod. מתי זמן יציאת השבת בכל שבת, וכיצד מחשבים את זמן יציאת השבת. So Agudat Ahaba Vahba, organization in the city of Ashdod, in fact, the first Israeli organization, synagogue, Beit Midrash, that started putting out a weekly Shabbat bulletin going back already from the late 60s. And this Agudah was run by a rabbi by the name of Yosef Wahba. And he wrote this question, or his committee over there posed the question to Hakham Obadiah Yosef: what time does Shabbat end each week, and how do we calculate the ending time of Shabbat? Now, I was looking for Barry Mizrahi because Barry's been asking about this for the last few weeks, and I thought he might find this interesting, so maybe he'll pop in. Teshuvah. במסכת שבת מביאה הגמרא מחלוקת בשיעור בין השמשות, שדינו כספק יום בספק לילה, והוא לאחר שקיעת השמש. So the Gemara talks about this time period of bin hashemashot, okay, which we like to refer to in English as twilight, and this quasi time between night and day. So is it night? Is it day? The sun has set. When is it actually nightfall? לדעת רבי יהודה, שיעור בין השמשות הוא כשיעור מהלך 3 רבעי מיל. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, how long is this time period of bin hashemashot? It's the amount of time that it takes a person to walk 3/4 of a mile. We'll just refer to it as a mile, okay? But it's slightly different, but 3/4 of a mile. ושיעור מיל הוא 2,000 אמה. A meal is 2,000 amot. Okay, so 2,000 amot, we're talking about how many feet? Rabbi Kasola, you want to give us the common numerical equivalent of 2,000 amot? I think it's 3,000 feet, correct? Just nod your head if I'm right.
I unmuted him just now.
To the best of my knowledge, each amma is 1.5 feet, so 2,000 amot would be 3,000 feet. So 3,000 feet obviously is less than a regular mile as we know it. לדעת רבי יוסף, בין השמשות הוא כהרף עין. How long is בין השמשות? The amount of time it takes to blink your eye. זה נכנס וזה יוצא. In other words, there is no real measurable amount of time between day and night. It happens practically immediately. ומסבירה הגמרא שלדעת רבי יוסף עד כדי מהלך 3 רבעי מיל לאחר שקיעת השמש הוא ודאי יום. So the Gemara explains that according to this opinion of the blink of an eye that Rabbi Yosef posits, and therefore this amount of time that Rabbi Yehuda says of 3 רבעי מיל, that amount of time is now considered definitely daytime. It is not nighttime whatsoever. Uzman mu'ad lahar miken, and a short while after that, kede mahalach ka-hamishim amma, the amount of time it takes to walk 50 amot, so 75 feet. Magia zeman ben hashemashot. That's when ben hashemashot happens. Shehu ke'erev ayin. ומסיקה הגמרא שם שהלכה כדברי שניהם להחמיר. And the Gemara concludes saying that the opinion is like both of them and to be stringent. Rabbi Dweck, welcome. Hope you could shed some light for us as well. והנה, שיעור מהלך מיל שנוי במחלוקת הראשונים. So how long does it take to walk a meal? This is a mahloket among the Rishonim. כי בשאלות תשובות תרומת הדשן כתב ששיעור מהלך מיל הוא 18 דקות. So תרומת הדשן is saying it takes 18 minutes to walk a meal. Okay? Now, before we continue, I want to say that, in my opinion, it shouldn't make a difference the length of the day, if it's summer or winter. The amount of time to walk a meal has to be the same. And I'm saying this before we continue because I disagree personally with the opinion that tells you that this is something that is based upon sha'ot zemaniyot, because it makes no sense for it to be sha'ot zemaniyot. Okay? Sha'ot zemaniyot, as we know, are variable minutes. Okay? And it can't be variable. It has to be the same. The amount of time it takes a person to walk is the same amount it takes a person to walk. So now we continue. The amount of time it takes to walk a meal is 18 minutes. וכן משמע מדברי הרמב"ם בפירוש המשניות בתחילת מסכת ברכות. And it's very clear, according to Harambam as well, that it would have to be regular minutes as well, and it takes just 18 minutes to walk it. וכן דעת רבנו סעדיה גאון בסידורו, ורביה, והראה, וכן פסק מרן שולחן ערוך, והרמה, וכן דעת הלבוש, והבית חדש, וכהן, והעלייה רבה, וכן פסקו הגאון ביוסף חיים בספר בן איש חי, והגאון חזון איש. לפי זה, אם אנו אומרים ששיעור מהלך מיל הוא 18 דקות, שיעור מהלך 3 רבעי מיל הוא 13 דקות ו11. So it seems that everybody is in agreement, Rishonim, Aharonim, Sephardim, Ashkenazim. The amount of time to walk a meal is 18 minutes, and therefore 3/4 of a meal should then therefore take 13 and a half minutes to walk.
Joey?
Yes.
Joey? Did you mention that it's Harambam's opinion that it's 18 minutes?
Yes, that's what he just said over here.
Isn't Harambam 24 minutes that it's for a meal, and then 3/4 is 18?
I don't know. We could open up the Mishnayot and double check it. Hold on 1 second.
Excellent.
Yeah, Perek Gimel. I was looking at Perek Aleph. That's why. All right, fine. So let's continue and see what it says. I just want to see one thing before I open that. Perek Gimel Mishnah Bet.
Joey, Barry's on, FYI.
All right, very good. Welcome, Barry. Even over there, I don't see it in Harambam. But let's see what Hakham Obadiah has to say. 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay. אולם, הרמב"ם בפירוש המשניות במסכת פסחים כתב ששיעור מהלך מיל הוא 2 שעה, 2/5 of an hour, שהם 24 דקות. What Rabbi Nathan Dweck said, 24 minutes. וכן דעת רבנו עובדיה מברטנורה, וכן פסקו המגן אברהם בשם מהריל, והגאון בי זלמן בשולחן ערוך שלו, ועוד אחרונים. ולפי זה שיעור מהלך 3/4 מיל הוא 18 דקות. According to this opinion, then the time it would take to walk 3/4 of a mile would be 18 minutes. ונראה שכדאי לחוש לשיטה זו. And it would seem that it would be worthwhile to be considerate, if you will, and be concerned with such a shittah, such an opinion and approach. ובפרט ששיעור זה הוא בדקות זמניות. And saying now, and especially, or specifically, that this shi'ur, this amount of time, is in dakot zemaniyot, in variable time. Dehainu shebimot qayis sheyamim arukim, in the summer days when the days are long, af zeman ben hashemashot aruch yoter, the time of ben hashemashot will be longer as well. Belachen כעבור 18 דקות אחר שקיעת השמש וודאי זמן 6 כוכבים לדעת רבי יהודה, לאחר מכן יש להוסיף עוד כדקה כדי לחוש לדעת רבי יוסף. So what Hakham Obadiah Yosef is telling you over here is that even in the summer months, you would have to go and wait these 18 minutes to fulfill the obligation as per Rabbi Yehuda, and then add another minute according to the opinion of Rabbi Yosef. So a total of 19 minutes now. ואם כן, כשעברו כ-20 דקות לאחר זמן שקיעת השמש, and now once 20 minutes have elapsed from the time of sunset, הוא זמן שת הכוכבים. This is now the time of שת הכוכבים, the time that the stars come out. ומה שכתב בספר מעשי ניסים כדורי, וכן בלוח של הרים טוקוצ'ינסקי, שזהו בערך כ"ז דקות עד ל"ה דקות. ליטא, שאנו הולכים אחר דברי רבותינו בכל השיעורים שכותבים ובודים מלבם אין לשמוע עליהם. So, in one fell swoop, Hakham Obadiah Yosef knocks out the opinion of Rabbi Nisim Kaduri, who was one of the very well-known Hachamim of Baghdad who was living in Yerushalayim. He wrote a book called Ma'aseh Nisim. And in this book of Ma'aseh Nisim, he has a perpetual calendar with times for throughout the year for Yerushalayim. And also Rabbi Tokochinsky was a very famous Ashkenazi rabbi who lived in Yerushalayim, and he was very well known for his calendrical work. And he made calendars year after year based upon his observations and upon studying the concept of time. And he created his own calendar. So he's saying, based upon the calendars of Rabbi Kaduri and Rabbi Tukochinsky, the time for Seder Kochavim comes out to some place between 27 to 35 minutes. And he goes, really? We don't have to accept any of their times. These are times that they made up on their own, and they don't follow the ways of our Hachamim, and therefore we do not need to listen to them whatsoever.
Sorry, doesn't it also depend on where you live?
I don't know if that's really true or not. That's what people want to say nowadays. But does it really depend upon it? Obviously, we don't see that in the Gemara. Yes, the Gemara, whether you're looking at the Talmud Babli or the Talmud Yerushalmi, they were dealing in a particular locale, so they weren't dealing with places that are as far north or south that we deal with today. They weren't dealing with different parts of the world, but we don't see as far as I know at least, any reference to having to change the timing based upon longitude or latitude. Okay, I'm not discounting it whatsoever because it makes plenty of sense, to take that into consideration. But based upon the writings of our Hachamim, I've yet to see something, that really stands out and tells me, yes, this is something that's true. Okay.
What about, does that relate to the question of the 3 stars or no? Meaning the variable time, because the meal doesn't seem to indicate it. But why also give the variable of the stars as well?
Let's try to explain stars if we can. Which stars? The small ones, the medium ones, or the large ones? And how do you differentiate between the 3 different sizes of stars?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was a kid in Sham, I was one of the kids that they sent out to look for the 3 stars because we never actually looked for the time.
Right.
So from what I remember, I just looked for 3 stars and said Shabbat is over.
Right. You look for any stars. Correct?
Yeah,
Right.
anything, any
So-
3 dots that I saw in the sky.
Exactly. And they could have been anything. They could have been, Assad spying on you too. Could have
Or
been anything in the
UFO
sky.
or something.
Right. But my point is that technically the Talmud differentiates between different types of stars. And I don't think we know how to. Okay, but we can figure out, a amount of time that we could walk. So I don't know if the issue of stars comes into play over here, but as Rabbi Nathan asked and Isaac answered, yes, people used stars. I remember as a kid too, one time on a Saturday night, Rabbi Sammy Cassin's sister, went outside. I was playing with her son, and she went outside. She looked up. No, Shabbat's not over yet. She didn't see stars. Then when she saw stars, she said, "Okay, boy, Shabbat's over." Okay, that's it. Practically, there were no such thing as people going, to Knesset Saturday night. This is the early 70s. It ended. That's it. There was nothing. There was no Arbid. There was no Havdalah. There was no nothing. Here you go. It's over. Turn on the TV. Do what you want. In any case, so I don't have an answer for the stars in comparison to the meal. תעיין מה שכתבתי בגיליון שאלות שוות יביע עומר חלק ב' וכן הסעתי על דברי רבי בן ציון אבא שאול בספר אור לציון חלק ראשון בשאלות שוות יביע עומר חלק ז' שגם הוא נשתבש כדברי הנזכרים לעיל ואף על פי שבשאלות שוות זה בחלק צדק חלק שני וחלק שלישי כתב גם כן שבין השמשות נמשך כ"ז דקות. So obviously there was a tradition in Baghdad because there's a Hasidic was to be Abdullah Somech, and he said there were 27 minutes. So obviously they had a tradition over there, or it could have been based upon the locale, since Isaac brought up the issue of locale. And debarav nechonim lahalacha. He just wipes it out. Incorrect halacha, he calls it. Verak. You ready? ורק גיבובי חומרות שאין להם יסוד בהלכה. The people are just piling up חומרות that have no basis in halacha. וצריך עיון גדול במחילת כבוד תורתו. כן יעוין שם. ועיין בשאלות שבו סיס אליעזר חלק י"ז סימן סמך ב' ועיין הגאון רבי יצחק ענתבי בכתב יד הוא בשאלות שערת הרב שמבואר גם כן מדברנו ועיין עוד שעות ונעלה מה שכתב בשם מהר"ם השייח והשפתי כהן. Okay, so basically he's taking a stand. This is what the halakha is. This is what the Gemara states. This is how we figure out the halakha. And anybody who says otherwise, no matter what they think they've figured out, no matter what observations they've made, he's knocking it out. He doesn't seem to care for it. Okay, next section. ובמסכת ראש השנה, אומרת הגמרא, שיש להוסיף מחול על הקודש ביום הכיפורים, בין בכניסתו, בין אם ביציאתו. So the Gemara Rosh Hashanah says that we have to add from the hol, from the weekday, to the Kodesh, okay, when we're dealing with Yom Kippur, both in entering Kippur as well as exiting Kippur. So let's say sunset, for example, is at 6:30, so you start 6:25, and then you end, let's say, whatever, 5 minutes after it's over. I don't want to say what time it's over because we're still figuring that over here. וכתבו הריף יומא והראש שם שאף בשבת יש להוסיף מחול על הקודש. So the Rif and the Rosh also said you have to add. when it comes to Shabbat. So not only for Kippur, but for Shabbat as well. וכן פסק מרן בשולחן ערוך, שצריך להוסיף מחול הקודש אף בשבת. והסכימו הפוסקים שאין שיעור קבוע לזמן התוספת ודי בתוספת כלשהי. So Shulchan Aruch also rules that you have to add for Shabbat, and the poskim, all the other rabbis in the days of Shulchan Aruch and after Shulchan Aruch seem to be in agreement with that, with him and with his position, but they don't give a specific amount of time. Any sort of addition is sufficient. It's considered an addition. וכן מבואר בספר יראים, בספר מצוות גדולות, ובספר אורחות חיים, וכן כתבו הר"ן בחידושיו לשבת, וראה בחידושיו לברכות, ורבנו יונה בברכות. ולכן, מסת הדין 20 דקות לאחר שקיעת השמש הוא זמן יציאת השבת. See what it tells you? Because therefore, according to the deen, according to the law, the letter of the law, 20 minutes after sunset, Shabbat is over. והמחמירים מוסיפים מחול על הקודש עד כחצי שעה לאחר השקיעה. And those who are mahmir, they add from the hol to the kodesh up to half hour after sunset. So in other words, past this 20 minutes, they add another 10 minutes. Okay, so now Shabbat ends not 20 minutes after sunset, but 30 minutes after. וכמו שכתב במשנה ברורה. Now this is what Mishnah Berurah writes. Ulam. Now he's going to take us for a little bit of a twist. Ulam. יש להעיר שכל זה הוא לשיטת הגאונים. Now we have to be made aware that there are differences of opinion and differences of tradition. And he's telling you all this is very nice and well, and this follows with the shita of the Geonim. Shemiyad laachar shiki'ah matchil zeman ben hashemashot. That immediately after sunset begins the time of ben hashemashot. About the dat Rabbeinu Tam, shiki'at hashemesh shelanu, hi hashiki'ah harishona, ו-58 דקות וחצי לאחריה הוא עדיין יום ודאי. So listen to this carefully. The Rabbeinu Tam, okay, grandson of Rashi, has a completely different approach than the Geonim, according to Hakham Obadiah Yosef. Not everybody agrees with that this is the approach of Rabbeinu Tam, and there are many Hachamim that have researched this matter very, very intensely, and they have proven that Hakham Obadiah Yosef is wrong, and that the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam is exactly like the Geonim. And the common idea of what the Geonim's opinion is a misconception. But let's go with what he's saying so we understand. So he tells you now, the Da'at Rabbeinu Tam, according to the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam, our sunset is considered the first sunset. In other words, there's more than one sunset, there are two sunsets. Our sunset, what we call sunset, is the first sunset. And 58.5 minutes after that, it's still definitely day. Okay? 58.5 minutes after sunset is still definitely daytime. ורק לאחר מכן באה השקיעה השנייה ומתחיל זמן בין השמשות. So 58.5 minutes after what we call sunset starts the second sunset, and that's when בין השמשות starts. ולאחר 72 דקות מהשקיעה שלנו הוא לילה ודאי. So 13.5 minutes after the second sunset, now you have a full period of 58.5 minutes plus 13.5 minutes. You have 72 minutes from what we know as sunset. And only at that point does it become definitely nighttime. V'da'at rob ha-rishonim keda'at Rabbeinu Tam. Now he's telling you the opinion of most of the Rishonim. Most, that's a very, very heavy word. Most of the Rishonim is telling you is like the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. וכן דעת מרן שולחן ערוך. And this is the opinion of Shulchan Aruch in Siman Resh Samach Aleph 261. אלא שהגאון בי יונה נבון בשאלות שוות נחבא בכסף, חלק ראשון, ובספר גט מקושר, העיד בגודלו, שמנהג ארץ ישראל שלא כדעת רבנו תם. So we had Hakham Yehuda Nabon. He was one of the great Hachamim of Eretz Israel. And he wrote specifically that the minhag of Eretz Israel is not like the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. וכנראה שמנהג זה פשט עוד לפני שקיבלנו הוראות מרן שולחן ערוך. And we follow an older tradition, the tradition of the Geonim, and it seems that that tradition of the Geonim took hold in Eretz Israel prior to the writing of Shulchan Aruch and prior to the rulings of Shulchan Aruch being accepted. وهلכה كاتبوا أحرونيم ربيم شنخون مئود لحوش لشتات ربنا تام. And as far as halacha is concerned, many Aharonim, many later day authorities, wrote that it is proper to be considerate of the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam and follow it. להחמיר, to be stringent. ביציאת השבת שלא לעשות מלאכה עד שעה וחומש לאחר שקיעת השמש, and not to do any sort of work after sunset on Saturday night until 72 minutes have elapsed, to follow the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. ושיעור זה הוא בשעות זמניות. And once again, he's telling you this follows variable minutes and not fixed minutes. דהיינו, שבימות הקיץ שהימים ארוכים יותר, therefore, in the summer months when the days are longer, זמן יציאת השבת הוא קרוב לשעה וחצי לאחר שקיעת השמש. So now the time Shabbat ends is approximately 1.5 hours after sunset. So it's no longer 72 minutes, but now it's about 90 minutes. וכבר הערכתי בשאלות שוות יביע עומר חלק ב' בשיטת רבנו תם, לרבים סביר עליהו האחר. Because and I've wrote about this at length in Yabir Omer Volume 2. And at the bottom of this page, in the footnotes, he explains a little bit more about why he thinks it follows Sha'ot Zimaniyot. ועיין עוד במחסק ברכה, בכף החיים, ועיין מה שכתבתי עוד בהסכמתי בראש ספר עמק יהושע, במאמר חלק ב', ושם תמכתי גם כן על הראש מסס, בשלוש שבועות ועוד שמש, מה שכתב בעניין זה. ומי הוא? יש שיטה שאומרת לדעת רבנו תם ששלושה מיל ורביע היינו קודם שקיעת החמה שלנו. Now he says there is another opinion in explaining Rabbeinu Tam that 3.25 mil before our sunset is what do you call it? Is another thing that we're concerned about. There's still excuse me, I just lost my train of thought here. That you have to start calculating the time from 3.25 mil rather, before our sunset. But again, this is all about how you're figuring out the timing of Rabbeinu Tam. Now he's just pushing it off. You don't know who Yishak Yiranin Halek Gimal is. You don't know what he says over there. Yishak Yiranin Halek Gimal, it'd be Yishak Barda, rips to shreds the entire concept of Rabbeinu Tam in 72 minutes. The guy goes to town for page upon page upon page in Halek Aleph and Halek Bet and Halek Gimal. Okay, he does not give up, and he has speeches online explaining how this whole concept of Rabbeinu Tam is one big fallacy. You should look him up one day. ועיין עוד בשולחן לפנים רבי יעקב רקח. רבי יעקב רקח was one of the greatest Hachamim of Libya. ובהערת הרב מגיע שם. אך פשט דברי התוספות וסיעתם לא משמע כן. He goes, but the simple reading of Rabbeinu Tam does not seem to go with the way these other Hachamim are explaining it. So in other words, he's at least telling you that there is another way to explain Rabbeinu Tam. He doesn't go for it, and he doesn't really go for those who say it. Now he gives us a summary over here. בסיכום, זמן יציאת השבת בכל ערי הארץ הוא 20 דקות לאחר שקיעת השמש. So at least he concludes the Teshuvah telling you Shabbat ends 20 minutes after sunset. והמחמירים מוסיפים מחול על הקודש עד כחצי שעה אחר שקיעת השמש. And those who are mahmir stretch it up to 30 minutes after sunset. In other words, the 20 minutes that we said, that's for sure, plus an additional 10 minutes. Ulam, but keda shekol yireh shamayim yahmir kedat rabbinu tam. But any person who is God-fearing or fearing of heaven should be stringent according to the opinion of Rabbinu Tam. Shelo la'asot melacha ad sha'a v'hamishit. That you should not do any sort of melacha until 72 minutes. דהיינו שעה ושתים עשרה דקות לאחר שקיעת השמש. ובימות הקיץ הארוכים עד כשעה וחצי לאחר שקיעת השמש. And in the summer months up to 90 minutes. And if you figure out according to Rabbinu Tam and locale and this and that, it works out sometimes even longer than 90 minutes in the summer. But a person who doesn't know much, and again, this is my opinion, a person who doesn't know much, and you hear, okay, Shabbat ends 20 minutes, and then people push it to 30 minutes, or the Mahmirim push it to 30 minutes, and then, but anybody who's God-fearing, now, who doesn't want to be considered God-fearing? We're all God-fearing, right? Don't we? We fear God. We believe in the Torah. We believe in the mitzvot. We believe in Sachar v'Onish. We believe in everything, you know. How do you go and tell somebody now that you're God-fearing? If you're God-fearing, you should really be listening to Rabbeinu Tam. So this is, to me, this is beyond the Tevah, Alav, Bercha. This is an even extra level, which I can't put my finger on. That's just my take. Before we move to the next teshuvah, I'd love to hear from anybody here that has something to say.
Joey.
Yes, please.
If I could contribute something that I dug up from the Hazanut forum,
please.
Probably 10 years ago, something that I wrote while Hakham Obadiah was writing about this. I was looking at the question of the 3 stars versus the time, and the question that you had about fixed time versus variable time.
Okay.
And it happens to be that the same Hachamim that are indicated in the Talmud as making a statement about the 3 stars is the same statement about the Shalosh Helke Mil.
So you're talking about Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosef.
So specifically in the Gemara, so you have in one place Rav Yehuda in the name of Shemuel makes a statement about 1 kochav is day, 2 kochavim is ben hashemashot, and 3 is ready laila. Then you have another statement, a mahloket between Rabbah and Rav Yosef of Rav Yehuda in the name of Shemuel. How many meal is shi'ur ben hashemashot? Is it 3/4 or 2/3?
Okay.
Meaning that the same Amar of Yehuda, Amar Shemuel, that speaks about the Kochavim is the same statement about distance, which seems to be a fixed time, not a variable.
Right.
So the 3 stars seems to be a fixed time. From the Gemara itself.
Our problem is we really can't figure that out because we have something called light pollution. And with light pollution, it's almost impossible to figure this out. I've tried many times to look for stars. And because we have so much light, even in the midst of the Caribbean, where you think there's less light pollution, and we know that basically we're on pretty close to the equator, and we know what time Shabbat should be ending, it still takes close to 40 minutes until I'm able to locate 3 stars.
Correct, but even in the Gemara, the same name is indicated as the Ma'amar.
Well, it's not the same name because you told me.
No.
For Rabbi Yehuda, you're on the
both
money.
Cases,
but the other one, this is the Rabbi Yosef, and you tell me Yosef.
In both cases, it's Amar of Yehuda, Amar Shemuel. In the Kochavim one, it's Amar of Yehuda. I put it in the chat. I could put it here. I put it in the WhatsApp chat that we have, but I could put it here.
So I'll look at that later. Okay.
No problem. But they're both in name of Amar of Yehuda, Amar Shemuel, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just on one of them is a mahloket. Is it 2/3 or is it 3/4? But they're both in the name of Rav Yehuda Amar Shemuel. in both cases, whether the 3 stars or whether the distance of walking.
Interesting. Definitely. So that would confirm that it's, as you're saying, a fixed time, not a variable
Correct.
time.
That's what I wrote back in the day on the Hadanut forum. That's exactly what I wrote. That both are fixed times.
Right. So I don't know. So
Yeah,
what's
I
the
put it
answer?
in now anyways, but
So
no, it seems like it's a fixed time, like you're
so-
saying.
Okay, but now when you have a chance on your own, look at the footnote on page 99 over here, and you'll see how he's pushing the concept that it's a variable time, that it's sha'ul zemaniyut.
And I don't know where that comes from. Meaning, when you study this topic and you look at the
When you
Gemara,
look at the topic, it makes no sense. We're talking about a person walking through the desert, basically.
Right.
So it makes no sense. Yes.
I agree with you. That's all I'm saying.
Anybody else? More insight, more questions, more anything?
Can I ask about the 2 shikiot, where that concept came about? Never heard of two sunsets.
I've never heard of it either, unfortunately, but it seems to be the premise upon which Rabbeinu Tam is understood and explained, and I don't know how to make sense of it whatsoever. And it seems to be that the pre what we know as sunset is the first sunset, okay? And then the actual sunset that we know is the second sunset, based upon the non-Rabbeinu Tam camp. On the Rabbeinu Tam camp, then the sunset that we know is the first, and then a 58.5 minute later, something happens in the sky, which I don't know what it is, and that becomes a second sunset. But more than that, I really don't know enough to answer.
So Joey, Shabbat's over 20 minutes after the sunset now in Brooklyn?
So Hakham Obadiah Yosef is talking in general. He's not differentiating between places. He's telling you 20 minutes, he's telling you 30 minutes, he's telling you 72 minutes. Let's talk about what we actually do. So the community for many, many decades did 35 minutes, and that seemed to be the ruling of Rabbi Kassin, Alav Shalom, Hakham Yaakov Kassin, chief rabbi of the community. But in the Midrash in Sha'arei Sion, okay, and it's possibly based upon something that was going on 67th Street, they were doing 25 minutes. So the Midrash was 25 minutes, the Dome was 35 minutes. Now, that no longer exists for the most part, and it's becoming much more common now to do 40 minutes throughout most of the synagogues in the community. If I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein writes to do 42 minutes only if it's difficult for you to do 50 minutes. Now, I really don't know where each of these times come from. 25, 35, 40, 42, 50. I don't know. I'm just stating to you what I know people actually adhere to based upon, whatever it may be. I have nothing more to say on it.
Hakham Yosef, 25, I do remember in Halab that was the number.
Okay.
And I believe in Israel, some places they do the 25.
Well, I'm sure.
So,
I'm not talking about Israel.
maybe,
I want to stick with the community, though.
Right, I'm saying in Halab, I know for sure we did 25, probably because it has something to do like yours. If you're saying it's variable, maybe because it was closer to the equator or something, maybe that has something to do with it. That Tzitz Kochavim is fast, is quicker. Ben Shemashot is shorter. It's
right.
possible.
So it's very interesting. In Halab, since you're bringing it up, in Halab, there was a time period where they moved away from Shita of the Geonim, and they moved to the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam of 72 minutes, and that became the opinion of all the Hachamim and the Din in Halab, and it went on for for a period of at least 150 years that they were only doing 72 minutes in Halab. And then it seems all of a sudden, as quickly as it became 72 minutes, that quickly, after that many years, though, like I'm saying, about 150 years, automatically it reverted back to what do you call it, to 20 minutes. Okay? And this 25 minutes probably became the extra humrah. Okay, let's add a few minutes. Okay, so they were doing.
I don't know the history of it.
No, I'm just telling you, though.
25.
I'm talking about a few hundred years ago. I'm not talking about now, today, or yesterday. I'm talking about the 1700s. 1700s, early 1800s. Okay, so just, mentioning that to put it in perspective, that even in Halab, there was a minhag to follow the Ge'onim. The minhag changed according to Rabbeinu Tam, and then the minhag changed back to the Ge'onim. And so the 25 minutes that you remember from Halab could be the basis for why they were doing that in the Midrash. The Midrash is more of the old timers, and they could have been doing what they were used to in Halab. Very possible. All right.
I have another question.
Please.
I have another question. I got here a little late.
No problem.
The 72 minutes that the way I say today, most of the rabbis do tell you to hold. Is it a humrah or is it lechatahillah? This is the zman.
It's lechatahillah if you're following Rabbeinu Tam, and the reason they feel lechatahillah to follow Rabbeinu Tam is because Maran in Shulchan Aruch tells you to do
Maran
that.
Is very clear on this, right?
Right, but we all know very, very clearly that this was not the actual halakha ma'aseh in our places, and therefore we didn't do it. So so if we're looking at he just looked at Biyunan Abon, and he's telling you, even though Shulchan Aruch is Shulchan Aruch, we have a custom that predates Shulchan Aruch. Okay, and let's say in Halab they were doing pre-day Shulchan Aruch, they're trying to change it to follow Shulchan Aruch, and obviously the Hachamim as well as the Hamun Arab were not comfortable with it, and they went back to following the Shittah of the Ge'onim. So, but that's the reason that people follow 72 minutes, because Maran says so. If Maran didn't go with this opinion of Rabbeinu Tam over here of 72 minutes, I don't think it would be as strong as of an opinion as it is today. All right. Let's move on. What was the next siman we have? David Batesh, tell me, what are we doing next? Hey, Dave.
You have to document.
Anybody that has the PDF, tell me. I'll look it up myself, I guess. 1 second.
Chalav Israel, maybe also.
All right, we're going to look at Siman Ayin on page Kof Yod Tet. All right. Siman Ayin, same volume of Yehaveh Da'at. Okay, this is a question from 1971. Mehayat kapayim v'rikud b'Shabbat v'Yom Tov. Clapping hands and dancing on Shabbat and Yom Tov. I like this question because it's a question that Hakham Obadiah Yosef wrote when he was chief rabbi of Tel Aviv. It's before he became Rishon LeZion. And he wrote it to a young woman, which is also nice to see that Beno Israel have questions that write to the Hakham responds to them, which is the way it should be. Everything should be, open. It's not a one-track world. לתלמידה היקרה נעמי ברזני בדבר מחיאות כפיים וריקודים בשבת או ביום טוב. שנינו במשנה, הם מספקים והם מטפחים והם מרקדים ביום טוב. קל וחומר לשבת. ובגמרא ננו טעם לזה גזירה שמא יבוא לתקן כדאישיר. So we have a very, very clear Mishnah that we don't start tapping and banging and dancing and doing anything like that on Yom Tov, and all the more so on Shabbat. And the Gemara explains that the reason being, it's a gezerah. Gezerah, why? Because you may come to fix an instrument, a musical instrument. וכן פסקו רבנו חננאל והרי והראש והמאירי, וכן פסק הרמב"ם, וכן דעת תרומת הדשן ומארי קולון ועוד. And we see all the major Rishonim all rule accordingly. אמנם התוספות, דיבור המנחיל תנן, כתבו שאין דין זה נוהג בזמננו, מפני שאין בקיין תקן כדאישיר. So now all of a sudden we have a Mishnah Mefureshet, we have a Gemara, we have Rishonim galore, all on one page. All of a sudden Tosafot comes, nah, this law no longer applies. You know why it no longer applies? Because we don't have anybody that's a professional at knowing how to fix musical instruments. And therefore, it's a pointless law, and therefore it doesn't apply to us, and therefore we could ignore it. Bebet Yosef, the Ha Debrei Tosafot. So obviously, Maran comes in the Bet Yosef, and he doesn't accept what the Tosafot says. He says, how can you say such a thing? That's impossible. Based upon the ruling of all the poskim, all the Rishonim, obviously, that Bet Yosef wouldn't be calling Aharonim, he's calling Rishonim, that the law still applies nowadays. And we only allow dancing on the day of Simchat Torah, Lichbod HaTorah. Now, this is not, before we continue, this is not something that everybody agrees upon. There are rabbis who say even on Simchat Torah you cannot dance. Okay, and Hakham Obadiah Yosef writes about this topic in Hakham Obadiah Shabbat Hedek He. Just so you know, it's about it in Hakham Obadiah Sukkot, but this is beyond the scope of what we're doing right now. But just so you know, not everybody agrees with it. Considering especially also that Simchat Torah is a later day holiday, it came about later on, there wasn't an established custom for it, there are many different factors going on. וכן פסק בשולחן ערוך בסימן תקכ"ד. Fine. So this is a ruling בשולחן ערוך, no dancing. הפוסקים לא התחשבו בטעם התוספות להתיר, לפי שגם זמננו המומחים בנגינה בקיאים היטב לערוך ולחזק המתרים של כינורות ושאר כלי שיר, ויש בזה חיוב מן התורה ועדיין שייכת איפה גזירת חז"ל. So the poskim, the Hachamim, really didn't take into consideration the ruling and reasoning of the Tosafot who allowed it, simply because actuality and reality show otherwise. So he goes, what do you mean? We have plenty of musicians. We have people that know how to tune an instrument for it to work properly. Because we have musicians, we also have people that know how to make instruments. You know, we have all these types of things. How could you say nobody knows, what to do with the instrument? It makes no sense whatsoever. And we see all the time, person goes up to start playing, he tunes up. He knows how to fix a broken string, he knows how to fix a broken peg, whatever the case may be. So you can't say that that's a reason to allow and to totally knock out a gizera from the Mishnah, from the Gemara. ומשום שכל דבר שבמניין צריך מניין אחר להתיר, כמו שכתב בית יוסף שם, רבי שזות יביע עומר. Fine. אמנם, next page, ק"כ. אמנם הרמה בהגה כתב, והזה מספקים, מרקדים בזמן הזה, ואין מוחים בהם, שמותר שיהיו שוגגים, ואז יהיו מזידים. So even the Rama, Muram, in his glosses on the Shulchan Aruch, says, no, we're not following the Tosafot. The reason that you see people tapping and clapping and dancing and nobody reprimands them for it is because better off let them do this by mistake. Let them not know, let them do it by mistake, and let them not do it b'mezid. We know that if we tell people not to do it, they're still going to do it anyway. People hear music, they automatically start clapping and tapping and snapping their fingers and what have you. And if we tell them something, they're just not going to listen. So we're better off let them be shogeg, let them do it by mistake, and let them do it b'mezid on purpose. ויש אומרים שבזמן הזה הכל מותר מפני שאין בקיאים לעשות כדאישי ואפשר שעל זה נהגו להקל. And then he brings in the opinion of the Tosafot. And he goes, maybe because of the combination of the two reasons, maybe that's why they're מקל, maybe that's why they're lenient. לפי טעמו הראשון נראה שסובר שמן הדין אסור הדבר גם מזבננו. So therefore, clearly looking at Muram, okay, he obviously agrees that it is something that is still asur even in our days. ואם יכול להיות שישמעו לנו אם נודיע עליהם האיסור צריך להפרישם מהאיסור. And if they're going to listen, we have to make sure that we totally separate them from this איסור. And he doesn't seem that he can actually do that. ונראה שכן דעת הרמה להלכה שכתב סברה זו בסתיתם, ואילו הטעם השני נאמר בשם יש אומרים, והיא סברה יחידה של התוספות. Then obviously he's just bringing in the one opinion of the Tosafot that nobody seems to agree with, just to have it there. גם בספר אליהו רבה, ממי דברי המהרש"ל, ים של שלמה, okay, שאוסר זולת במקום מזווה, who also forbids it, except if it's in the case of a mizvah. But now, how can you make this distinction of a mizvah and not a mizvah if we don't have this distinction in the Mishnah or the Gemara or in the Rishonim? וכן המגן אברהם לא התיר אלא בשמחת תורה. מגן אברהם only allowed it on שמחת תורה. וכן פסק הגאון רבי זלמן בשולחן ערוך. וכן כתבו הפרי מגדים והמאמר מרדכי והגרי ויל וסגורת שבת והגרי שטיינהרט ושולחן יוסף. וכן פסקו הכיסוי של הערוך והמשנה ברורה ודברי הערוך השולחן. בזה אינם נכונים, וגם הם נגד כל הפוסקים, ויחי ורבים הלכה כרבים, because we have to follow the majority opinion, and majority opinion is that the Hachamim forbid this. בעיקר כדברי האחרונים, לאסור טיפוח וריכוז הנזה. And the opinion of the Rishonim and the Aharonim, for the overall, is to forbid clapping and dancing. ואפילו בשמחת חתן וכלה בשבת אסור לטפח ולרקד. And even if it's a mizvah of Hatan on Shabbat, okay, you're having Sheva Barachot on Shabbat, you're having dinner, you're having lunch, you still cannot clap and dance. Where are we here? I'm going to do Shema. והמשנה ברורה וכן פוסק, גאון ביצחק פלאצ'י, בספר פדת אברהם, בשירי יפה ללב, סימן שאלות, בחזון איש, כותב, הוראה שלפסקה מפי רבותינו הבית יוסף, מגן אברהם, משנה ברורה, היא הוראה מקוימת, כמו מפי סנהדרין בלשכת הגזית. Very interesting. He just throws a note on the side over here that if we have a ruling, the Hazon Ish says this, that if we have a ruling from our Hachamim, our Hachamim being who? The Beit Yosef, the Magen Abraham, and the Mishnah Berurah, this makes it a standing law as if it came directly from the Sanhedrin in Lishkat HaGazit. A very, very powerful statement. Again, the Hazon Ish, okay, is making the statement. So he's now making, the Hazon Ish makes a new set of Shilosha Amudei Hora'ah. His Shilosha Amudei Hora'ah are the Beit Yosef, the Magen Abraham, and the Mishnah Berurah, and they are direct Sanhedrin from the Shkat HaGazit. And since they ruled it's Asur, plain and simple. ומה שכתב בספר גדולות אלישע, גדולות אלישע is Elisha Dangur, who was chief rabbi of Baghdad. שמה שנהגו בעירו לטפח או לספק בליל שבת, כשהחל המצווה ברית מילה בשבת, that there was a custom in his city in Baghdad that they would clap and snap and tap and the such on the night prior to the Berit Milah for Shabbat. Let's say Shabbat Milah Saturday morning, so Friday night they would have a special Sa'udah or they have a special get-together, okay? And they would do these things. He said they did this thing, and this was the custom in his city, and they have upon what to rely. Ayin Sham. Once again, later, no, it's out. We don't accept it. We don't follow him. We don't believe in what he's saying. Because we have accepted the rulings of Maran. וכאן דעת מרן לאסור. And here, the ruling of Maran, the opinion of Maran, is to forbid it. كدعت ربع poskim, like most of the poskim. והאם فتح الدبير حيث الجمل. بخهاج أفناء يش بطل منهاج. And in such a case, we must come and we must stop the minhag. بعين عود بشوشود يبيع عمر. هذا كليشون. So even if there's an established minhag, and you have the chief rabbi of the city saying this is a minhag, Hakham Obadiah does not accept it, and he says we have to stop the minhag. Nimsa, שגם האשכנזיות ראוי להן להחמיר כדעת רוב הפוסקים כנעיל. Now he's concluding this teshuvah and saying even the female Ashkenazim, they should also be mahmir, and they should not do this clapping and dancing, and they should follow the ruling of most of the majority of the poskim. mahmirot tavוא עליהן ברכה. And those females who are stringent, תבוא עליהן ברכה. ולספרדיות שמעולם לא נהגו כולה בדבר, and for the Sephardic women who were never lenient in such a case, בוודאי שאסור להן לרקוד ולמחוא כפיים שבת ביום טוב. For sure, it is forbidden for them to dance or to clap hands on Shabbat or Yom Tov. וכדעת מרן שולחן ערוך שקיבלנו הוראותיו. And we have to follow the rulings of Maran in Shulchan Aruch, that we accepted his rulings. ואסור להן בהחלט לעבור על זה. And is completely forbidden under any and all circumstances to do anything opposite than Shulchan Aruch. רק אם אין רוקדות, אלא אוחזות יד ביד וסועדות במחול זו אחר זו מותר, כי זה לא נקרא ריקוד. Only if they're holding hands and they're swaying back and forth while they're holding each other, that is okay to do because that's not considered dancing. This is his teshuvah. Now, did he need all of this? If you had a clear-cut Mishnah, clear-cut Gemara, clear-cut Rishonim, did he need to go through all of this and then to add for the Ashkenaziyot to be mahmirot and tavוא עליהן ברכה? I don't know. Opinions, somebody. Anybody, please help me out here. I'm still trying to understand what makes him say mahmir tavוא עליו ברכה. Where does he come from? Dead silence. All right. No problem.
I wanted to mention something.
Please, Rabbi.
Chaim, please.
Like I said, please, Rabbi.
On Saturday nights, Rabbi, the son of Rabbi Hakham Obadiah gives a shiur on Mosseri Shabbat. And recently, the past few months, he's always casting a dig at the Ashkenazim. He's always saying, you know, I was raised by Ashkenazim. They taught us this, but we have to follow Sephardim, even if we're lenient. I think sometimes Hakham Obadiah, Alav Shalom, in writing, always was standing on two sides, you know, and he always had to appease those that were on the right. I think that's why he always writes Tavוא עליהן ברכה, המחמיר. Do you see that ever?
You're saying that because he had to appease the Ashkenazim, he had to write Tavוא עליהן ברכה for the Sephardim who would do like Ashkenazim,
who were raised and taught by the Ashkenazi yeshivot. In fact, the Rishon LeZion says that he learned in Ashkenazi yeshivot.
We lost your sound, Rabbi. Rabbi, we don't hear you.
He's not on mute, so it should work.
Rabbi Kasola, do you hear me?
We're okay? Can't hear?
Now I hear you. So you were saying about the Rishon LeZion. So Rabbi Yishak Yosef went to Yeshivat Hebron, if I'm not mistaken. and he grew up with Ashkenazim. And that is the case for all of the Hakham Obadiah Yosef's sons. They all went to Ashkenazi yeshivot, as far as I know. At the same time, though, if we go back, and I've said this before, I reviewed all 7 volumes of Yehaveh Da'at. And in all 7 volumes, there are only about 25 teshubot where he writes المحمير تبوا علیו ברכה. So if there's only 25 teshubot, let's say, and let's be, conservative, and say we're looking at 600 to 700 teshubot. Only 25 is not that many teshubot. Why only for those to write المحمير تبوا علیו برכה? It doesn't follow your logic. It would have to come in every teshubah then. He's not hearing us, David, it says. Any idea, anybody? Maybe, David, maybe unmute everybody. Maybe that might help.
Hello? Hello?
I don't know who's saying hello.
Test, test, test. Well, I hear you.
Everyone's working. It's something with his audio.
Okay. Very strange, because it still says mute.
No, he's on mute now. I muted
All right,
him.
in any case.
Oh, anyway, do it again. Sorry.
What?
David, unmute him. He's
I
still
can't
muted.
unmute. I can only mute.
There he is.
Okay.
Now he's good. All right, so in any case, like I said, 25 teshuvot out of approximately 700, we only see المحمير تبوا علیו ברכה in those. So it can't be that that's the reason. Otherwise, he would put the المحمير تبوا علیו ברכה in each and every teshuvah, some way, somehow. So there's got to be much more to it. Like I said before, I can't figure it out. And that's why I think tonight is going to be the last class on this topic based upon Hakham Obadiah Yosef's writings, because I just don't know. I don't know where he's coming from, and what's the reason behind it. Okay, let's find the last teshubah for tonight, and then God willing, next week we're going to be doing something completely different. I'm working on a topic. Hopefully, I'll have a chance to complete it over the course of the week. It has something to do with Rabbi Uziel and him following the rulings of his relatives. His relatives being the Hazan and Palachi Hachamim that predated him. But we'll see if we're able to get to that, if I can. Okay, now we're going to do final teshuvah for tonight. Siman Kof Lamed He. Siman Kof Lamed He on page 229. So one-page teshuvah, also from Tel Aviv, also 1971. You all have it? Just nod, anybody? Okay. Shetiyat halab akum kishe'en behema timea misuye ba'ir. Drinking halab akum when there are no unkosher animals in the city. Okay, that will be something that really applies to us as well. לכבוד ידידי וחביבי לאיש ולאבי חיכו ממתקים וחולו מחמדים הרב הגאון בינם של קידושים רבי מנחם פינק של ליטא בין כבוד ידי נפשי הרב הגאון המפורסם קדוש אומר לו זך וישב פעולו כהר יעקב פינק أب الدين ده حيفا يساب أدوناي توت برخاء حين من العالم أحري عطير الحين بأشلون بخول توب So Rabbi Menachem think, the son of Rabbi Yaakov think, who was Abed Din of Haifa, has a question. And Hakham Obadiah Yosef is answering this question. מתברר שאלתו אם יש להתיר באתרי דמור בעיר תהילה הג אשר בהולנד המדינה. So Rabbi Fink became the rabbi of the Hague, okay, in Holland. And here's his question. חלב שחלבו עקום ואין ישראל רואה. You have a animal that is milked now by a non-Jew, and there is no Jew who oversees the milking of this animal. Okay, what's the story with the milk? Mishum dela shehiyah halab tameh b'machane kudsho. There is no unkosher animal to milk, you know, in the vicinity whatsoever. Hine yadu asha peri hadash. Rabbi Haskiyah de Silva, the peri hadash, pasak lehatir b'chahai gavna. He ruled to allow it. ושעל זה שמח בהיותו באמסטרדם, Holland. And when the Peri Hadash himself was in Amsterdam, he allowed the milk. ושכן כתב הרדב"ז, Rabbi David ibn Abi Zimra, who predated Maran and as well was a contemporary with Maran. He was exiled from Spain, moved to Egypt, and moved to Safed. He wrote thousands of tishubot, and he allowed it. חתם סופר הסביר דברי הפרי חדש כוונתו שנתאכסן אצל ספרדים הנוהגים היתר. The Hatam Sofer, though, explained the teshubah of the Peri Hadash, that the Peri Hadash was a guest by Sephardim, and the Sephardim allowed it. And because they followed the Radbaz. לסביר עליה שחלב לא נאסר במניין. אבל בני אשכנז נוהגים איסור בדבר כדעת המחמירים. But בני אשכנז, Ashkenazim, they have the custom to forbid it, and this is a stringency of theirs. שכך קיבלו עליהם אבותיהם ואסרו עליהם דבר זה מדינה. And this is a established custom among them that they basically look at it as a law, and they forbid milk that was milked without, either by a non-Jew or by a non-Jew and no Jew oversaw it. And there's no way around it. They can't even make hatara for it. This is a neder for them. בנדרים, מוקע שאף מי שקיבל עליו איסור בחי גבנה, אין בזה איסור מן התורה, רק מדרבנן. Hakham Yosef is saying, how can you say this is neder d'oraita? If you open up Masechet Nedarim, and we see the rules and the regulations and the guidelines for a neder, this cannot be a neder d'oraita. At best, it can be a neder d'rabbanan. וכן כתב הראש, בפירושו לנדרים, וכן באה בשל שבועות כל אליהו ישראל, ובשל שבועות שערי עזרא. I think this is Rabbi Azra Tarab Maslaton, if I'm not mistaken. וכמו כן, יש נעיר בזה על מה שכתב בשל שבועות נטע שורה. בואו מתחיל אומנם, אין שם. ובאמת שלא הוכחו הראשונים סביר עלי שחלב לא נאסר במניין, כמו שאסף איש טהור הגאון רבי חיים פלאצ'י בשלוש שבועות חקי כלב. ומערן החידה בשיעורי ברכה, חיירת יורי דעה, הביא מה שכתב בספר קטן בשם תשובת הגאונים ומעשה רב שנתפס באמסטרדם, שיטיח דברים נגד הפרי חדש שהקל בזה, והעיד שהמנהג שם להפך, וחטא עליו, ושאר אלה מארץ שמלאו לבו לדבר טועה נגד התיאר הגדול ומאור הגדול פרי חדש, ויש פנים מסבירו לפרי חדש, וכן מנהג להקל בארגיל על פי דברי הרש בין הרשב"א ותשובה. Because obviously we know that there are different opinions back and forth, this way and that way, and the Haidar Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai wrote about this in Shiurei Beracha, and he writes about those who opposed the Peri Hadash and those who went with the Peri Hadash, and he goes, at the very least, you could say that the Peri Hadash is following an ancient custom that existed in Argil meaning Algiers, and it's attested to by the Rash, the son of the Rashbis. Yehuda Ayash was the chief rabbi of Algeria. And the individual who basically questioned and was unhappy with the minhag of Amsterdam, and why did he go and attack the Pri Hadash? From that time, there was this time span of at least 16 years. So why attack the Pri Hadash? And it could be that over time the minhag may have changed. He goes, but as far as halakha is concerned, you should definitely be mahmir. Again, he's not telling you that the halakha is a certain way. He's telling you should be mahmir. Yesh lahmir b'vaday. Kol she'en haminhag pashur b'makom mahu la'akil. As long as there is no clear custom in that locale to be lenient. So if there's no custom in the locale to be lenient, then you should be stringent, is what he's telling you. And this is the way the custom has developed in all of Turkey and Eretz Israel. Again, we're still reading from the Hida. So the Petah Haddibir also said you should be mahmir. And he also pushed aside the ruling of the Pri Hadash, Ayin Sham. And that should be the main gist of things, and that's it. Watch this. Bishnot Tashah Tashi Kashir Hayiti Meshareh Bakol Sham. Because and when I was ruling, rather when he had the rabbinical position of Abid Din in Egypt, in Cairo, Hakham Obadiah Yosef is talking about himself, from 48 to 50 for that 3-year period. Okay? Betarahnu tamid. We made a great effort at all times. Lehasig halab kasher ba'ashgahat Yisrael ha'omed mitahidat hadiba v'ad sofa v'ad moa halab l'bayit. We made a great effort to be stringent in this case and to have a Jew overseeing the milking from beginning to end and watching the milk being brought home as well. Again, this is what Hakham Obadiah Yosef was doing for himself. ומכל שכן לבני אשכנז שיש להחמיר יותר כמו שכתב החתם סופר, and all the more so for Ashkenazim who have to be even more stringent, like the ruling of the Hatam Sofer, who said that this has basically been a neder for them to only do halab Yisrael. ועיין עוד בשאלות שוות מהריס דושינסקי ושל שוות לבושה מרדכי תנינה, ועיין עוד בשדה חמד מערכת חלב שחלבו לנוכרי ואין הורהו ואין כאן מקום להאריך יותר. And there's no reason for me to say any more than what I've already said. I've said what I had to say for Sephardim. I've said what I have to say for Ashkenazim. And then he concludes, and he's saying, congratulations on your position and may you do very good things over there. So he obviously recognizes the position of the Radbaz, who allows a person to have milk in a from an animal when there are generally no animals over there that are milked, that or non-kosher animals that are milked. He also recognizes the position of the Pri Hadash. He sees those that go against the Pri Hadash and the Radbaz, whether they be the Ashkenazim like the Hatam Sofer or Sephardim like the Hida, who doesn't like the position of the Pri Hadash. But again, he recognizes the position of Rabbi Yehuda Ayash and the Rashbis, who follow the minhag that already existed in Algiers for centuries. And then he comes again, but you got to be mahmir. And but then he talks about himself even being super mahmir for himself to make sure that even when he was in Egypt, and obviously they weren't having non-kosher milk as a general rule, unless you weren't looking for it, he would make sure to have somebody overseeing the milking from beginning to end and the milk being brought home to him. So again, a humrah that he seems to be pushing. Why? This humrah over humrah and something else? I don't know. I've given up on trying to figure this out unless somebody can get me some sort of insight. I just don't know anymore. But if anybody has something to say, again, as I've said, after each teshuvah, I'm always more than welcome to, to listen, to learn, and to advance. Anybody?
Joey, there's no real non-kosher animals to milk. That's number one. The only one that might be able to milk is a camel, but they weren't drinking. That was the only ones in those days that they had in Egypt or anything like that.
I agree. It would be a camel. Now, there is such a thing as horse's milk also, though.
Yeah, but they never did milk them. They didn't use them for anything.
Carrie, I got you. I know, cheese is your arena. So dairy is obviously something that you know a lot more about than I do. You could definitely milk a host of different animals for their milk. And yes, I agree with you. They generally did not. Camels, horses, pigs, I got you. If you were in an area, though, where this was something that was milked, then you have a concern. But if you're generally in an area where that's not the concern, then you shouldn't have a concern either, especially if that's a specialized milk. So it would cost a lot more, and it's much more of a burden for them to milk that for you, to give you that sort of milk. They're not going to mix it in with your regular cow's milk, which is easily obtainable and probably a lot easier to milk and a lot cheaper. So again, this is something that we understand as a halakha. We understand over here as well the rulings of the United States of America in the laws of milk. We know the ruling of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, alav shalom, that we have government authority, and that also works as if a Jew is standing and watching over the milking process. And we're aware of all these things. So it's a very, very difficult situation. Now, he's talking about The Hague in Amsterdam. They're well known over there for their cows. They don't deal with other animals over there, to the best of my knowledge, at all, as far as milk is concerned. They're purists when it comes to milk and cheese and dairy products. So in a place like that, I wouldn't be concerned either. I hear you loud and clear, Carrie. Anybody? All right, so we're done for tonight. 3 teshuvot from Hakham Obadiah Yosef. Once again, each one showing us a side to be more mahmir. We don't understand the reason why he's pushing it as much as he does, except for the first teshuvah that we did regarding Shabbat. That one we understand because he wants to follow the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam that is brought in Shulchan Aruch as a halakha, even though that wasn't the common practice in our communities or our lands. But I get where he's coming from with that as to why he wants to be mahmir. But at least he's telling you straight out that that is not the common practice, and it's something that he has pushed onto the people. And we know that that has become much more common in the last 40 years, especially in Israel and especially among rabbis coming from Israel and in teaching their congregations wherever they may end up throughout the world. So that's something that has become much more common in the last 40 or so years. The other things, each thing is, is dependent on many different factors. And again, if anybody has anything else to say about Humrot, I'd love to hear about it, but hopefully next week we'll move on to a completely different topic.
Joey.
Yeah.
Did you check? So, Yechabe Da'at is a little more detailed teshubot. Did you look at like Chazon Obadia, like where he has
No, I'm not looking at Chazon Obadia whatsoever. I looked at what you showed me. Chazon Obadia is not written in the style of Hakham Obadiah Yosef whatsoever. The rulings on top of the page where it tells you mahmir, 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 mahmir seem to have no rhyme or reason to them. And I don't think you could figure out a style of a Hacham based upon that. And I tried because you mentioned it to me last time. I think only based upon Yabiya Omer and Yehavirat can we figure something out. And the Yabiya Omer Teshubot are way too lengthy to be able to do in a Zoom class or even on a in-person class, unless you're gonna
right, they're very long and detailed.
Dedicate 2-3 classes to one teshubah. That's in my opinion. But I definitely don't think you can make any sort of conclusion based upon the way Hazon Obadia is written.
Right.
That's my take on it. I haven't seen anything over there that compels me to say this is something where he may have even written the whole thing. I think he wrote more of the bottom than he wrote of the top.
Yes, correct.
So it's a tough call to make. I want to look at specifically his writings. His teshubot, he wrote. Nobody else was involved.
Well, he wrote Hazon Obadia also, just more condensed later in life when he was putting out a book.
I understand, but he definitely wrote the bottom. Did he write all of the top? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know. But looking at the style of it, it doesn't seem like a source upon which we can make any conclusions.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Again, I'm open. If you have something to show me that, will prove me wrong, I'm more than welcome to see it. I'm here to learn. I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody.
Interesting.
All right. I guess we're done for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
And to be continued, Be'ezrat Hashem, another topic.